Today's episode of Voiced is from r/Ameth Butthole and is about two users navigating family conflicts and personal boundaries. Were they justified in their actions, or were they in the wrong? What happens when family loyalty clashes with relationship tension? Subscribe if you enjoy.
AITA for calling my mom when my husband refused to listen to me. I, 26 female, recently moved into my first home. I am also 4 months pregnant with our first baby. The pregnancy has been very hard. I have horrible morning sickness. It reached a really bad point where I passed out, hit my head, and my doctor admitted me to the hospital for a week. When I got home, my husband allowed his brother's family to move into 2 of our 3 bedrooms. They were evicted. I don't know why. One room, which was my office, was tossed into our room with papers everywhere. The house was a complete wreck. Trash, dirty clothes, used diapers. I started to cry. It was like a light flipped. My husband was no longer the same. My husband told me it wasn't that bad. My reply was, "Fine, then you should have the house cleaned up before I wake up." Completely exhausted, I fell asleep for 4 hours. I woke up and went to get a drink of water. I couldn't find any glass. We have glasses scattered around the house. They didn't clean a single thing. I passive-aggressively started to pick up the dirty dishes and wash them. The following morning, I was trying my best to work when their kids were crying nonstop, banging on the walls and so on. Their mom was in her room for hours ignoring them. When my husband came home, he was upset with me over how I didn't make his brother's wife feel welcome in our home by helping with their kids when she was tired. Then he continued to complain about how nothing was done while he was at work all day in the house. Yep, the same one he didn't clean. That led to a fight where I told him, I am too sick to have company, and they need to leave. To which he replied, they are his family, and he won't kick them out. I started to cry again. I was beyond frustrated, exhausted. I physically couldn't do it anymore. I called my mom asking if I could come stay with her, telling her the whole story in front of my husband, who at this point was completely shocked, angry. Also, I could tell he wasn't sure what to do. My mom came with my brothers. I have 3 older brothers. My mom, super angry, told my husband, "Since your family can stay, so can we." My mom quickly took charge. I was sent to bed. My brothers started cleaning, complaining loudly at how disgusting my brother-in-law's family is, along with what a horrible husband my husband is for putting me through this while I am sick. I got a text message from my mother-in-law for calling me an awful person for not helping my husband clean up the house and putting my brother-in-law in an uncomfortable position by having my mom boss him around. When my mother-in-law showed up, she was super angry outside. I could hear shouting, but couldn't understand what was said. Once inside, she was shocked. My house looked really bad. My brother-in-law lied to her about what happened. My mother-in-law quickly started to help my mom in the bossing mode. My house is not just cleaned, but deep cleaned. My brother-in-law and his kids are now staying with my mother-in-law. She didn't know about the eviction. My in-laws helped them financially a couple of months ago. My mother-in-law was not happy about it. Still refused to come out of the bedroom. She would scream through the door, but that was about it until her family came to pick her up. Last little bit. I did talk to my husband. He seemed very remorseful. I asked for some space. He is staying at a hotel. He asked to come by and talk to me tonight. My mom and dad are here. Both mothers felt like I should have someone here since I am sick. Both mothers have set up a meal plan where they trade off who will bring in dinner. It was my mother-in-law's idea. It was a hard talk. He is remorseful. My brother-in-law was only supposed to stay for a couple of nights. Then he originally thought they would be gone before I got home. He said he is tired and emotionally upset himself. When I originally passed out, my husband left to help a friend move. He came home and found me. He said he has no idea how long I was on the floor hurt. He was originally scared I had died. Since then, he has had nightmares, on top of dealing with his family drama. He admitted to dumping his frustration onto me when it's not my fault. He begged me for another chance. The next steps, we are still separated. He plans on staying at my brother's house in his guest house. We are going to go to marriage counseling and individual counseling. He asked if he could come when the home health nurse comes each night and to my doctor's appointments. I agreed to that. Update on brother-in-law. His wife admitted to having an affair. She told him she got married too soon and doesn't want the responsibilities of being a mother anymore. I am not sure what will happen with him and his kids, but I am shocked that she feels this way, especially with her kids.
Wow, what a whirlwind of emotions in that last story. It highlights the struggles of navigating personal crises while grappling with the actions of others, and the aftermath of family dynamics can sometimes be incredibly challenging. It's a harsh reminder of how our lives can be turned upside down through circumstances beyond our control. Now, let's shift gears a bit. Our next story delves into a different kind of challenge, one that resonates with the concept of seeking justice and reclaiming one's narrative in the wake of a profound personal injustice. The protagonist is facing a decision that could have lasting implications, not just for themselves, but also for their community. And it's one that will truly make you rethink the choices we make when those we trust fail us. Let's dive in. AITA for keeping my website up after being asked to remove it. Updated 50M. Several people reached out with helpful resources, including a litigator on Reddit who put me in contact with a colleague who practices in my state. Apparently, there is precedent, and people have won against the state, although it did take several years. My intent was to answer more questions since I wasn't able to do that while at work. I was also going to post the website, as that has been a popular request. However, I've been told not to continue further discussions beyond what I have already posted if I wish to pursue a civil suit. Just a couple things I want to address in my update here. Some people are saying I'm leaving out details. My original post was much longer, but there's a 3,000 character limit imposed. I had to delete a lot of things from my initial draft, so I apologize if it looks like details have been left out. I did try to make sure everything that was relevant was kept. Lastly, my son is now back with me. There was a lot of paperwork and even a court hearing, but we're together now, and that's what counts. I'm still going through my unread messages and still have quite a lot left to read. Back in November 2018, I was arrested at work in front of my boss and coworkers. It was the most humiliating thing I've ever experienced. I later learned at the police station that I was being charged with multiple felonies. This came as a huge surprise. Luckily, I was able to keep my wits and hire a lawyer instead of speaking with the detective. For $13,000, which completely wiped my savings, I was able to retain a criminal defense attorney. However, it cost me everything, and I was unable to pay my bond. This resulted in me staying in jail for a total of 54 days. At a status hearing, my attorney presented video evidence of me gassing up my car 3 hours away from where the crimes took place, and I ended up having all my charges dismissed. When I finally got out, I learned that I had lost my job, was in the process of being evicted, and my son was in the state's care. His mother is a heroin addict, and I haven't spoken to my own parents in nearly 15 years. They wouldn't let him go to my girlfriend because they didn't consider her family. Since my release, I've learned that I can't sue the police, and no one cares that I was locked up for 54 days because the detective did poor investigation work. I've gone to the local press about this and was told that what happened to me happens quite a bit. They took down my information, but never followed up. So what I did was create a website sharing my story. I also uploaded the police report and some other documents from the discovery. Literally, the only reason why I was arrested was because an eyewitness said they saw me. If the detective had done his job, he could have verified that I wasn't even in town on the day the crimes took place. This is what frustrates me the most. My life was ruined because of a lazy employee. I'm writing this now because my website is now ranked number 2 on the first page of search results when you type in my town's name. I live in a touristy town, and we attract a lot of visitors over the summer. My web traffic has more than quadrupled, and apparently, it's gotten someone high up's attention. I received a cease and desist letter recently, which I showed to my attorney. He said sharing my experience online isn't illegal, and that everything I had stated was a fact, or my own opinion, protecting me from a defamation lawsuit. Yesterday, I received a visit from 2 officers and the detective who had arrested me. He apologized, stating, "Mistakes can happen." They then talked to me about my website and asked if I could remove it. I said I would delete it on the condition that the detective leave his job and never do police work again. Suffice to say, that isn't happening. After the visit I received, I'm more frustrated that the only reason the detective apologized to me was to get me to take down my website. I don't plan to, and the only one supporting this is my girlfriend. My friends think I'm being spiteful and have suggested that I just delete it. Am I the a-hole for keeping my website up? Before I dive into today's posts, please consider subscribing for more riveting content. Wow, the emotional roller coaster in the first story is just unreal. This mom navigating pregnancy complications and an unsupportive husband really highlights the need for open communication in a relationship. It's heartwarming to see her family step in and clean up the mess, literally and figuratively. On the other hand, the second post is a powerful example of standing your ground against injustice. It's commendable that this person isn't backing down despite the threats. Let me know your thoughts on these posts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your reactions. Thank you for listening to today's episode of Voiced. If you enjoyed daily, high-quality stories, Please like and subscribe to show your support.